Hey everyone, my name is Tiffany and you're watching Queen Tiffany TV. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Go ahead and let y'all know I'm not a speaker or a journalist. I'm just a mother out here trying to be a warrior for the Lord. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying. I'm working. But in this video, I want to talk about an important question that plagues our society today and that a lot of people seem to struggle with answering. But before we get into what that question is, I want to get into some vocabulary. So the first word I want to go over and define is reality. The world or the state of things as they actually exist, as opposed to an idealistic or notional idea of them. So I guess you can kind of see. I'll tell you right now, part of it has to do with, like, you see my shirt colors and everything. We already know. We already know it. But these colors represent God's promise. So let's don't lose the truth and the reality. Okay? But the question I have is, what is a woman? I know a lot of y'all know, but some of you don't. A woman is an adult human female, and a female is a person or an adjective that describes a woman or species that can produce children. Okay, so I want to share with you a couple video clips from Matt Walsh. He created a movie about that, asking that question, and shockingly, many people couldn't answer it, and many people didn't want to answer it because a lot of people are not living in reality. So I do want to get into this video. Check it out.
My name is Michelle Forcier, and I have a medical degree from University of Connecticut, residency, University of Utah Pediatrics, and I've worked for a number of different Planned Parenthoods for 20 years. I do advanced contraception and abortion, as well as gender hormones, and sort of looking at the whole sort of schema of gender, sex, and reproductive justice.
Male gametes. That's what makes me male.
No, your sperm don't make you male.
Then what does?
It's a constellation.
In reality, in truth, okay?
Whose truth are we talking about?
The same truth that says we're sitting in this room right now, you and I.
No, you're not listening.
If I see a chicken laying eggs and I say that's a female chicken laying eggs, did I assign female, or am I just observing a physical reality that's happening in the world?
Does a chicken have gender identity? Does a chicken cry?
Well,
Does a chicken commit suicide? Let's
does that have to do
frame
with-
it, because you're trying
The chicken has sex like any biological
chicken has
organism.
an assigned gender, but a chicken doesn't have a gender identity.
So we assign female to chickens when they lay eggs?
We assume they're female if they lay eggs.
That right there will go down for me as maybe one of the most probably, and every other thing that makes it on this particular list is also happened in the film, but certainly one of the most outrageous exchanges I've ever had with anybody. And of course, see, this is what happens when you start asking questions to the proponent of gender ideology. Is they end up backing themselves into various corners, and they have to make increasingly more wild sort of claims to get themselves out of the corners that they've backed themselves into.
So you saw that lady crazy, ain't she? I'm gonna be real. When I saw this, I watched this movie, I was just really shocked. Like, people is going over their head. Like, you know the truth, but you want to follow this narrative that has been set out. And some people just want to follow their own desires, even though they know that they are wrong. They know they're wrong. So we're going to get into this next word, and truth. Truth is the property of being in accord with fact or reality. In everyday language, truth is typically ascribed to things that aim to represent reality or otherwise correspond to it, such as beliefs, propositions, and declarative sentences. truth is usually held to be the opposite of falsehood. But in today's time, right now, falsehood is true. And they want to push the falsehood as truth and get everyone to follow along. I'm not going to be following along with anything other than the truth. Okay? So let's get into this second video clip.
One of the drugs used is Lupron, right? Which has actually been used to chemically castrate sex offenders?
You know what? I'm not sure that we should continue with this interview because it seems like
Why
it's
not?
going in a particular direction.
Well, you're a medical professional,
I am a medical professional.
so you don't want to talk about the drugs that you give to kids, or?
Again, I'm a physician and I use medication. You're choosing exploitive words. Drugs I give to kids.
I'm choosing a
chemical
word that was
castration.
in a dictionary.
That's not a correct term for puberty blocking.
I mean, I could look it up on my
person.
phone, but I'm pretty sure if I looked it up,
You can look it up on your phone.
it says medical definition, the administration of a drug to bring about a marked reduction in the body's production of androgens and especially testosterone.
And I'm saying, as a pediatrician who takes care of hundreds of these kids, when you use that terminology, you are being malignant and harmful.
I mean, there are some who would say that giving chemical castration drugs to kids is malignant and harmful.
It's about the context of caring for a child and seeing the suffering that kids can have that have not been an affirmative home situation.
All right, so our third word, final word I want to define is delusion. Firm and fixed belief based on inadequate grounding. A delusion is a false fixed belief that is not amenable to change in light of conflicting evidence. As a pathology, it is distinct from a belief based on false or incomplete information, confabulation, or dogma, illusion, hallucination, or some other misleading offense of perception, as individuals with those beliefs are able to change or readjust their beliefs upon reviewing the evidence. People don't want to see the truth. That's all I can say. They see it, but they don't want to acknowledge it. They don't want to do that. And, it affects other people. And right now it's affecting the whole country. It's affecting our society, our kids, the mental states of this country and the world. Because I know people look to America. We like number one. And it's like we're going in reverse. All our ancestors worked hard to get us to a point, and it seems that just everywhere you look, no one is grateful. People are trying to go backwards. You're trying to cause division. You're trying to divide. That's what the devil does. You know what I'm saying? That's what he does. He wants you to be a lost sheep out here, so he can come and destroy you. That's the point. You know what I'm saying? But God is love, and he is here, and he hasn't changed, and he will never change. He wants us to get together. We just gotta have to stay prayed up, y'all. It's getting to that point. I just feel like it's about that time. God on his way back, and the devil out here trying to do as much damage as he can, because he knows time is almost up. Let's just make sure we're on the right side, y'all, because we already know. We know who wins this battle. I mean, it's a no-brainer. But anyways, let's get into this last video clip. This was at a congressional hearing, and a senator was talking with this lady, Miss Robinson. Just gotta pray for, because this had to be the greatest thing I done seen in a while. Let's check it out.
Our witnesses here today. Ms. Robinson, I want to follow up by trying to understand your answer to one of Senator Cruz's questions. And this is really a question, not a suggestion. Do I understand your position to be that there are two sexes, but there can be more than two genders?
I wouldn't even say two, and we've got Dr. Lopez here as well, but there's also the definition of intersex. I think that often in these conversations we're conflating sex and gender, and I do want to affirm here that trans women are women. That is their gender.
Okay, but I'm trying to understand. Do you make a distinction between sex and gender?
Yes, sir.
Okay, explain that. Do you think there are more than two sexes?
I believe that there's a definition for intersex as well that I want to acknowledge. But sex is assigned at birth.
I'm just trying to understand. I'm thoroughly confused. So you're born, I'm talking about biology, male, female, and what else?
I believe that intersex is also acknowledged. But again, I'm not a doctor here. What I can
And what
say
does intersex mean?
is that there's a difference between sex and gender. And I think in these conversations, we're conflating the two.
Well, but I want to start with sex. Okay, there's male, there's female. When a baby's born, before the baby has had time to even have a sense of self, there's male, female, and intersex. There's a third sex.
I believe that is true, but I would defer to Dr. Lopez as I'm not a physician.
Okay. And how many genders are there?
I think the gender is expansive and the definitions are always growing.
I'm going to pause it right there. Gender is not expansive. There are only two. And then we have those people that have those medical deformities, anomalies out there. Identity, how your characteristics, your character traits, your personality, stuff you like to do, that describes you as a person. That ain't got nothing to do with your gender. It's two genders, okay? Okay.
Today I can tell you, I talk to young people that talk about non-binary as
more than five.
I think the gender is not a binary, is what I'm trying to say.
Are there more than five genders? I'm just trying to understand. Are there more than five genders?
Well, I think that there was a time where women wearing pants didn't feel like it was appropriate for their gender, and yet I'm wearing pants today. I think that there are ways that we express our gender that are expansive.
Are there more than five?
I wouldn't subject myself to naming how many genders there are, but what I can say is that gender is a reflection.
Number?
Excuse me?
There's an infinite number of genders?
I think depending on your culture, there are a lot of different genders that exist. And I can also say that it's a term that's evolving. If you look at young people today, they really don't lean into the binary of only woman and man. So I think that it's incumbent upon us not to legislate on this, but create space for them to explore what their identities are, what their gender identities are.
All right. Let's get back to athletics. I think I understand what you're saying. There are three sexes: male, female, and intersex.
I believe that to be true, but again, I'm not a physician.
And there are an infinite number of genders because gender is a mental state.
Gender is about expression, and I think that there are a variety of ways that you can express your gender.
Okay, so there's infinite number. All right, let's go back to the biology. Male, female, boy, girl. Okay, biologically, do males have an advantage over females biologically in sports?
Again, I'm not a physician and I can't speak to that.
What's your real world experience?
It depends. There are some people who are born male that I'm faster than if I were to sprint against them, and some that I'm not. Some males that are taller than some women, and some that are shorter.
You don't believe that a biological male has a physical advantage in sports over a biological female?
Not as a definitive statement.
Give me an example. Well, no, I don't think. How many female members of the NBA do you see?
Well, I can say that, there's been this news article about men that think that they could beat Serena Williams in tennis, right? That they think that they could actually score a point on her. And it's just not the case. She is.
Stop it right there, because I even have seen Serena say that She knows that there's a difference between men's and women's tennis, and she prefers to compete against women because with males, they're faster and they hit the ball harder, more competitive. So I don't know what this lady's talking about.
Stronger than
James,
that.
what's your experience been? Male, female?
Both Serena and Venus lost to the 203rd ranked male tennis player, which they're phenoms for women. My experience, my husband, he swam at University of Kentucky as well. In terms of accolades and in terms of national ranking, I was a much better swimmer than him. He could kick my butt any day of the week without trying.
Okay. I just think, Ms. Robinson, I'm trying to understand where you're coming from. I think you lose a lot of credibility when you don't concede that a biological male has physical advantages over a biological female. I mean, I just think that's a proven fact, and you really hurt your credibility. I understand you want the world to be a better place. I do too, and I don't think people ought to be discriminated against because of an immutable characteristic. I don't. And I think that I think everybody ought to be free to be themselves. And what you do in your bedroom or what I do in my bedroom with a consenting adult is nobody's business. But if what I do in my bedroom with a consenting adult, if I decide I want to tell somebody's child about it, then other people have rights too. And I think parents have rights. And I think biological females have rights to be able to compete fairly in sports. So I really think you hurt your credibility when you refuse to acknowledge that biological males have an advantage over biological females. It kind of makes me wonder about all your testimony. Thank you, Mr.
Senator
Chairman.
Kennedy. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, you heard that, right? You heard that. That's pretty crazy. So, at the end of the day, I just don't understand the point because you're hurting the kids. Going through, even with what Matt Walsh said, that Lupron, which is also a puberty blocker, which is also a drug used to castrate sex offenders, like he said, and it's also a medicine that they use for men with prostate cancer. I went online and I looked it up, saw the reviews, they weren't good. So to know that these people want to get that to our kids because they're feeling a certain way right now doesn't make sense. Then going back with what she said, it should be okay for people to explore their identity. And that's what I think. As a young person, you're growing up, you don't know. You don't know. You learn as you go. You learn as you go through your experiences in life and what your parents teach you, what you learn along the way. But these people, as soon as they see one little hint, they pushing it on the kids. They're not letting the kids find themselves. And if they feel like that as they get grown, then let them go do that. But you're going against God. He made you the person that you are. But it's up to you to develop the character, the fruit of the spirit, gentleness, love, faithfulness. It's up to you. And we build character through the obstacles and struggles that we face, the good times and bad times, the choices that we make. That's how we build character. That's how we find ourselves. I'm 35 and I'm still trying to figure it out. So I know for sure no little kid knows. Because that's the role of a parent. You're supposed to be guiding the kids, just like the Lord is our shepherd. We're the shepherd to these kids. So I don't understand why these folks trying to lead these kids off a cliff. Why would you want to see your children hurting? Why are you trying to hurt the future? These are our future doctors and lawyers. But anyways, before I close this video, I do want to read a couple scriptures. So bear with me, okay? First scripture I want to read is should I start with that? I want to start with Proverbs chapter 22. A good name is more desirable than great riches. To be esteemed is better than silver or gold. Rich and poor have this in common: the Lord is the maker of them all. The prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. Humility is the fear of the Lord. Its wages are riches and honor and life. In the paths of the wicked are snares and pitfalls, but those who would preserve their life stay far from them. Start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it. My next verse that I want to read from, that was Proverbs 22, 1 through 6. Okay, my next scripture I want to read is going to be coming from Matthew chapter 18, starting with verse 1. At that time, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Who then is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" He called a little child to him and placed the child among them. And he said, "Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever takes the lowly position of this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me. If anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, to stumble, it will be better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea." That's Matthew chapter 18, verses 1 through 6. Okay. My last scripture is going to be Isaiah chapter 54, verse 17. No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and this is their vindication from me, declares the Lord. So, that being said, you heard it. You heard it. We're supposed to be leading these kids in the way that they should go, putting God first, doing what's right, and also standing for what's right in this life, whether you have kids or not. Stand for what is right. Okay? Stand for what is right. It's just so much, y'all, and I could go on, but I'm not going to bore you to death. Like I said, I'm not a speaker, but I do appreciate you guys for tuning in. Let me know what you think. This is my first video with this software and all this other crazy stuff I done had to figure out. So y'all, keep me in your prayers. Hopefully, y'all like this video. Please like it, please. But I thank you so much for tuning in. I pray that God continues to watch over and bless you. Till next time, I hope you guys are safe. All right? Cool.